Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 9:48 a.m. Our last interview for the morning, but definitely not the least important at all. We are going to be talking with Islamic Relief South Africa. They are urging supporters as the death toll from the Nazi onslaught on Lebanon nears almost 3,500 people. And the only way we can make a difference here in South Africa is through organizations like IRSA to try and raise much needed funds for the relief of people in these war-torn countries. I'm going to be talking with Aadilah Sirkoth. She is the regional fundraising coordinator at IRSA. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having us.
Lovely to have you here, and undoubtedly it's been an exceptionally busy year for you guys. Let's look at some of the pertinent questions regarding the work Islamic Relief South Africa does. Let's start off by asking you to paint a picture of the situation in Lebanon right now. Since the escalation on October 8th, we've heard of immense suffering across the region. Could you give us an update on the scale of the crises? Maybe some statistics to show just how widespread the impact is. And of course, beyond the numbers, what are some of the most heartbreaking scenes you've witnessed on the ground? I can't even begin to imagine or understand how people can deal with something like that. I'm sure we all are traumatized by what we see on the screens. We also know that you had stories of families that are absolutely unimaginable, homes destroyed, lives uprooted. And of course, I think what I really want you to do is to talk to us about the atmosphere amongst the people there, especially with so many women and children displaced and in desperate need. And before I hand over to you, when we talk about women and children, what comes to mind here in South Africa is the 16 days of activism of no violence against women and children. And here, Nazi Israel is slaughtering women and children absolutely in a wholesale fashion. So over to you, Aadilah.
Jazakallah for your question. I think let us break it down. I think there's many different things that we touch in this question. So we start off with the escalation on the 8th of October. The situation in Lebanon has reached a critical level. The violence has caused maybe over 1.3 million people to be displaced from their homes. Like you mentioned earlier, more than 3,000 lives have been lost. The infrastructure has suffered immensely, with hospitals, schools, and even basic services like water and electricity being severely disrupted. Then we go on to the stories from the ground. The stories on the ground are heartbreaking. Families who were forced to flee with nothing but their clothes on their backs. Children have lost their parents. Mothers are trying to protect their children without any safe shelter. The hardest part of seeing the fear and the trauma is their face, is looking at their faces. For many children, this crisis has taken away a sense of normality. And they are now living in overcrowded, makeshift shelters. In some cases, they're living on the streets. The atmosphere is so heavy with uncertainty and despair, but amid it all, you see remarkable resilience. People are trying to hold on, but the suffering is beyond words.
Aadilah, I should imagine that when we look at the Palestinian situation, including now in Lebanon, these little innocent children, they've been robbed of their childhood, have they not? I mean, they're going to grow up with such deep trauma if they do survive this onslaught, this Holocaust on them, that, like you've said, you've used a magic word just now, that they don't know what normal is like any longer. Having said that, let's look deeper into what the people are experiencing. We do know that the need is immense and it's urgent. Can you tell us what are these specific needs? I know we're talking about families who have been displaced. Children can't go to schools anymore, and that's where I said their childhoods have been taken away from them. They've been robbed of their childhoods. Um, are there any personal stories that really struck you? Something that shows you just how critical the needs are? And I'm kind of wondering how you personally deal with all of this, because there's no doubt about the fact that there is secondhand trauma as well when you deal with these issues.
So, just to begin with one of the stories that stay with me, there's a mother who had to flee with her 3 young children after their home was destroyed. She describes the anguish of trying to find somewhere safe only to end up in a crowded shelter with little food to no privacy. She told us that her children cry every single night, fearful of bombing and terrified of the dark and the future in it. Stories like hers are all too common in Lebanon and in Gaza. The situation is particularly hard on the children who have lost their sense of safety and stability. Yes, these stories, I think even if you just hear these stories daily, they would affect us as staff. But the resilience of knowing that even staff members like us who are on the ground in Lebanon and in Gaza, who are going not through only hearing these stories, but are going through the first hand experience of what is on the ground, it gives us hope and it gives us a sense of what do we have not to be grateful for. So,
Absolutely.
yes, we have secondhand trauma, but we know that in order to move past the trauma, we have to be the voices in South Africa for our staff members in Lebanon and in Gaza. If we talk about the greatest need right now in Lebanon, it's shelter, food, clean water, healthcare. We know that families are living in overcrowded conditions with little to no sanitation, which increases the risk of disease outbreaks. Healthcare facilities are overwhelmed. There's there's a need for urgent medical supplies as hospitals are struggling to cope with the influx of injuries and sick patients. Many of the people are suffering from trauma and they need safe spaces and routines to help them cope. But these resources are scarce in a time like this.
Okay, I know that Islamic Relief has been very active on the ground, responding to this crisis despite the many challenges. Could you share more about what IRSA has been able to accomplish up to now?
Alhamdulillah, Islamic Relief has been actively working to address the urgent needs on the ground in Lebanon. So far, we've distributed over 15,000 food packs, including ready to eat meals, and 500 meat packs to families facing food insecurity. To help the spread of disease, we've provided over 6,000 hygiene kits, along with over 2,000 blankets, over 1,000 mattresses, and kitchen sets to improve the living conditions currently faced in Lebanon. We've also supported local health facilities by delivering over 17,000 pieces of medical equipment and supplies, which are crucial for treating the injured and the sick. Delivering aid under these conditions have been extremely challenging, with the damaged roads, the limited resources, the security risks, all make it very difficult. But when our teams manage to reach the family, the relief is tangible. Like I said, I'll never forget a woman who receives a food pack for her family. She hugs our staff members, saying that it was the first time she felt that someone actually cared about her. These moments give people hope and remind them that they haven't been forgotten in the darkest of times. Islamic Relief has been the hope in Lebanon, and we will continue to be with your support, inshallah.
Subhanallah. Finally, this is the time when many of us want to do something to help, but we're not quite sure where to start. What would you say to our viewers who feel the pain of the Lebanese people? What can we do to make a difference?
It's important for everyone to understand that every little action makes a difference. First and foremost, I urge everyone to keep Lebanon in your du'as. Du'as are powerful, and we should always pray for the strength and the peace of those affected by these crises. Beyond this, there are practical ways like donating. No matter how big or small, it goes a very long way. Contributing to Islamic Relief's emergency appeal allows us to keep delivering essential items like food, water, medical supplies to those in need. Contributing to Islamic Relief's so that's one thing, contributing to Islamic Relief's emergency appeal, making dua, and then spreading awareness is also crucial. Sharing the stories, telling your friends and family what's happening, and encouraging them to get involved. Lastly, we urge the listeners to please join Islamic Relief's initiatives, whether it's a fundraising or simply showing support, sending a message in solidarity to the people of Lebanon. Again, we are also grateful for the support that we have received from communities in South Africa. Thank you for trusting us with your donations and donating to Lebanon's cause. May Allah accept from all of you.
Ameen, Ameen, Thumma Ameen. Aadilah, Sirkoth, to you and everyone at IRSA. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your efforts. Go well, continue doing what you're doing, because you guys certainly are making a difference. Lovely talking with you till the next time. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
It is exactly 10 o'clock and our next guest is on standby. That is you, Maulana Ahmed Namutamba, and you are going to be talking to us about something very important. Sadly, I think this is an issue that a lot of people don't even think about, because I guess simply because they don't have loved ones in correctional services. So you're going to be talking to us to highlight the issue around Muslim challenges in correctional services.
We are here in the middle of a Zahra neighborhood. The whole neighborhood is already destroyed. More than 17 towers are down. Here, as you can see, the firefighters trying their best to help. The people are still under the rubble. A lot of the people.
Join Hamza on his exclusive South African tour as he shares his personal experiences, never before seen footage, and powerful insights on the ongoing genocide in Gaza. This is more than just a talk. It's an invitation to witness Gaza through the lens of Hamza Sha'alan. Don't miss this opportunity to meet the photojournalist who brought Gaza's pain and perseverance to the world in its darkest moments. Follow Salam Media on social media pages for more on this tour and be part of the conversation.